Okay, so in this week's case, we have an unmarried guy. He's about 34. He's in his early 30s, and he has had the third job that he will have taken in 3 years or 2 years' time. And the first job that he had was going really well, and he left that job for a second job, and that one the company kind of went south, and so leave that job, losing his job because I guess lack of funding for that company. And so he was looking for another job, and he landed upon this job with this company, and he with Amy Turner. Cordulo hit it off really well, and of vice president of marketing for the company, and Cordulo promised him that he would be given a lot of autonomy to be able to make the right, make all the decisions on the company's marketing itself, with being without being constantly going into. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, sorry, Amanda. The last little bit you just said kind of cut out, but I heard most of it.
Okay, so
yeah, same here.
About 6 months into the job, he realized that he's having a lot of problems with his boss, and he's not what to do. So that's a brief synopsis of what so some discussion questions. They really use the root problems in. What are the main problems that are happening in this case?
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. You're frozen on my screen.
Let me try it.
Albert, can you hear her?
I heard a little bit. I think the last thing I heard her say was she asked what the main problems of the case were.
Oh, okay, okay.
Oh, the root problems. There we go. Okay.
The root problems. So,
Go ahead, Ruby. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So in my opinion, I feel like it was just a lot of like little things that kept building up. And then in the case study, you mentioned that Julie, I forgot her last name, was kind of like always, I feel like Turner felt that his boss and Julie were always kind of ganging up on him just because Julie would always agree with the boss, but he felt like she was only agreeing with him because he was the boss and she just wanted to be on like his good side. So it was, I don't think there was a main cause. I just feel like there was just little things that kept building up. And then it talked about how like he had the employees rearrange like their stock room or something like that. And that like not even a month later he decided to change it again. So he thought that was a big like waste of time, and they could have been focusing on other
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Ruby. One thing that I kind of noticed, I would agree that you said that it was a bunch of little things that were kind of occurring. It seems the boss, Cardulo, he seemed like he was just really difficult to get along with altogether. And then there were a few things that I noticed that Turner didn't really do. Like Turner mentioned in the case study that he was kind of put off and offended by some of the harsh language and the foul language that Cordulo was using. But Turner, according to the case study, didn't really say anything about it. He just kind of almost allowed that kind of behavior to continue. And I think it definitely would have been beneficial had he, I mean, you have to approach it in a delicate situation for your boss, but I do think standing up for your morals would be very important to do.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that, Albert, about the fact that from the very beginning, he didn't make his feelings known, did he? He kind of just kept them in to himself and didn't. I hadn't thought about that. I kind of think that one of the root problems was that Cardulo had, he was spending half his week in California, Illinois. And how can you really do a good job with your job when you're between two jobs that far apart from one another? He was just stretched too thin to do a good job.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you, Amanda. Yeah.
The second question on for Cardulo. So I touched on like going back and forth really hard. What that you know decision for us to bring in the LL, what was the company called? The lights company, the commercial, the into the company, into the commercial company, national government. And he brought in a retail business, and I thought maybe that was not a very good fit, and as shown by the poor light of that division of the company. I'm not sure that good decision. It said that he was the one who was responsible for convincing the big boss to that as an extension of that company. So I think Cardulo kind of slit his own throat when he did that. But Turner got himself into the mess just simply from job hopping so much. I think.
Oh, I'm sorry, Amanda. Can you repeat what the initial question was?
How did Turner get to this predicament for Cardulo?
Oh, I'm so sorry. It was still cutting out at the very beginning. I didn't quite hear the very beginning of that.
How did Turner get himself into this predicament?
Oh, perfect. Okay, thanks, Amanda. Sorry about the technical issues we're having. Again, I think a lot of it, along with what you said, Amanda, I think kind of goes back to what I had initially said as well, that that Turner didn't really speak up or say anything initially when the little problems started arising. Like Ruby had mentioned in earlier that, I mean, there were little problems that were starting from the get-go, and it really didn't seem at all that Turner was that interested, or maybe he was, but he just couldn't bring himself to trying to fix the problems or address the issues with Cardulo.
No, I agree. Like, Ruby, do you have anything?
I don't think I have anything to add. I think Albert answered it pretty well. It was just, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, let's find the next question. And then, what did he add to the problem?
I feel like he had a very like negative. Sorry, did I cut someone off?
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay, I was just gonna say that I feel like
no,
a very negative attitude, and instead of trying to try to find a solution or be a little bit more positive about things and try to look at things through his boss's point of view. He just kind of kept throwing fire in the wood, and he made things worse. Like he would just complain and not take any action. And I feel like that was something he could have changed or done differently.
Yeah. That you brought to my remembrance is they were on the airplane. How Turner brought up like all the problems. Yeah, there's never worked towards any solutions when he tried to. Turner went to come up with a solution. Like it didn't even matter. Important. It almost was trying to submarine his by not being even interested. He's doing so bad, and the depression was keeping him from just doing. I don't know, but he sure made some really stupid mistakes, didn't he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What did Pat Cardullo and Jamie Turner each initially bring to the situation at MLI that would seem to ensure success or failure? What did they each have in the beginning?
It looked like they had a really positive opinion and outlook on each other based on what we initially read in the case study. Like Turner had described Cardullo as being a smart, friendly, even like very charismatic. So it almost seemed like that they hit it off really well, or at least from initial meeting. And it was also mentioned in the case study that Cardullo like really trusted Turner. I forget what the actual wording it said. It's something basically that he trusted his abilities and he was confident that he could get the job done. So it seemed like there was initially a good foundation for their relationship, but then as we saw, it just kind of unraveled pretty quickly.
Ruby, you have any thoughts?
Well, just adding to what Albert said, I feel like their attitudes did play a large part, and I feel like none of them necessarily got along because of, they were very opinionated beings, so everyone just kind of like wanted to do things their way. And I feel like everyone was just kind of like bumping heads, and that was not a positive contribution to the team.
Yeah, very good. Okay, next question. The key choice points that 6-month time period them have done something differently that help. I think the was in decision. Turner warned this change the marketing to a flat board, like the recipe for meaning. If you have a product that you sell a lot of, you need to keep the prices low on that product to encourage more people to buy it. But if you have a product that's more specialty, you need to keep the prices higher as many buyers because it's a specialty product. And they're tried to tell to a straight across the board where everything is going to have, like, let's say a 25% profit margin instead of the specialty product has a margin, and the everyday common product has maybe a 10% margin. Straight margin across the board on all products, you're going to damage our marketing because sales and so he didn't listen, and that'll significantly work for them. Probably me?
Oh, yes, sorry, Amanda. On my end, the audio was cutting in and out. I heard most of what you said about Cordulo essentially not really being very effective at managing, whether it was people or the business itself. So I would agree that that was definitely a root problem. And then there's in the case study, there were several instances where he demonstrated bad managerial behavior. Again, going back to what I said earlier, I think using foul language to uh, chastise or correct behavior of your subordinates is very inappropriate for any type of situation, whether it's personal or professional. And yeah, there was a phrase that was used in the case study that Turner had experienced before. It was like, praise in public, but correct or chastise in private, something to that effect. And I think those are things that Cordulo could have utilized to be a bit more effective boss, I feel. Okay, let me read what you had said, Amanda, so we can have it recorded on the audio, on the video. Cordulo's biggest mistake was to make price margins across the board and not product specific. So high volume sales products were suddenly went up in price, which means that the less people bought the product. And yes, I absolutely agree with your assessment, Amanda.
Perfect. And what was the initial question, you guys? I'm sorry, because I couldn't hear Amanda when she asked the question. I heard half of her answer, but
I believe the initial question was what examples did Cordulo do to demonstrate that he was kind of messing up? Was that right?
Here, I'll read it.
okay, so yeah, he did a lot of things as a leader that he probably shouldn't have. And you guys already mentioned the cursing and stuff. That was very unethical and unprofessional in his part. And then also Amanda mentioned the how he switched the prices and stuff. I think a third one to add would be how accomplished a bunch of he accomplished, I can't remember word per word what it said, but he had made some sales go higher and lowering the costs it would cost the company. And what was the guy's name? The Cordulo guy, he just kind of disregarded all of his hard work and efforts and just kind of pointed out, oh, but you didn't do this, and that. So I feel like as a leader, it's really important to also not only point out what needs improvement, but acknowledge what has been done correctly. Because if it happened, then the employees are just going to get discouraged, and their work performance is just going to, go down. So.
Perfect. Well said, Ruby.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Is it all right?
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Wait. Never mind. All should Turner or approach Cordulo at the end of the case, or if
Oh, okay. I just noticed that the questions that we're asking now for this video chat are the same questions that we responded on the case study. Okay, so yeah, the last question was, I guess, how could Turner have approached differently? Well, at the end of the case study, it kind of seems to me that it's maybe a little too too late for Turner, that he's probably going to be let go. I still think, I mean, I keep repeating it, but I think it's still important that he address the issues that they were having, even if it's too late to really address it for it to save in the sake of saving his job, but at least letting Cardullo know that how important appropriate behavior is to him, and the manager style that he was using wasn't being effective. How to address that delicately to not hurt or offend someone, I mean, it's a really difficult thing to do, but I still think it would be important to make his feelings known.
Okay. Ruby?
I could not hear the initial question. You cut off. Could you repeat it, please?
Okay. It's on the chat box, the bottom of the chat box.
The bottom of the chat box? Okay, hold on.
Uh-huh.
What? So I think Turner should approach Cardullo and just kind of pull him aside and tell him how he feels, and just like offer some suggestions, and maybe also pull aside Julie and tell her that you know, like what's going on, that if she really does agree with him, or if she's just agreeing because he's the boss and she doesn't want to contradict him. I feel like if he gets Julie on board with him, then maybe both of them can approach maybe he'll be like, oh, okay, maybe I am doing something wrong, and then if he's a good leader, then he'd be a little humble and accept that he's doing things wrong, and maybe like change, and then their work environment.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I didn't know what to do about this. My strength is not in relations or people. I don't deal with people very well. I'm good with, I don't know. On the discussion board, that I felt like that Jamie Turner needed to ride out the storm. That matter of time. He was doing a good job. So form alliance and then keep really accurate record that, you know, he records that the board he said. So everything to prove his case. I was thinking that didn't go so well in one of our the beginning of the semester, built alliances and his case, but then after that, even after his coworkers didn't, like, he would stab them in the back anytime. So I have better ideas on how to how he very good at explaining how he felt, and so it wouldn't have culminated in after 6 months. So I don't know, it's a delicate situation. What do you guys think?
Oh, I'm really sorry, Amanda. It was kind of cutting in and out. I heard most of what you had said, but what was that last question?
I mean, I was just hoping that you guys ideas than I did. on how to mitigate the problem, you know, or to solve the problem. Not very good, but that's all I could think about.
Oh, okay. Well, like I mentioned also earlier, it's difficult when you have to deal with someone who just in general is very, very difficult, such as Cardulo. I mean, because as we can see with his behavior, I mean, just in general, he just seems like a very difficult person to get along with. You would hope that most people that you work with and
Right.
associate with would at least be somewhat reasonable. But it seemed like in the case of Cardulo, he really wasn't. So how to really reach people like that, I don't know. But I think if you start from the very beginning, as opposed to just kind of waiting to see what happens, to try and convey your feelings and try and let him know that things aren't quite working out right, I think would be really important, as opposed to kind of letting the problem fester and build up to the point where it could almost be at where it can't be repaired.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Very good. Do you have any final thoughts, Ruby?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. You guys are cutting off.
Okay. Do you have any final thoughts?
Oh, no, I just feel like they have a lot of like miscommunication going on, and I feel like most of it is consequence because of, you know, just everyone kind of wanting to do their own thing and their negative attitudes towards one another. So I feel like to be able to address those issues, they need to sit down and talk about them and find a solution that they can all like agree upon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. Okay, well, that was the end of the questions for this week. So not too many. Thank you both for being here. It's been a great and so I'm, if it's possible to group, because Ruby won't be back in town until Wednesday night.
Oh, I'm really sorry, Amanda. It was cutting in and out. I didn't quite hear. All I heard was Ruby's going out of town and won't be back till next Wednesday. Was that right?
That's all I heard too.
So, Ruby, were you going out of town? Is that going to affect when we meet again for next week?
So if we plan on meeting, so I'm leaving tonight, and I will be back until Wednesday night, next Wednesday night. I think I haven't had a chance to look at what we're supposed to do next week, but I'm pretty sure it's not due until like regular due dates.
Yeah, I believe it's not due our final submission for the accountability project until the 14th. So that would be the Thursday. So a week from tomorrow.
So a week from tomorrow, okay. So yeah,
Okay, looks like
let's
we
see.
got a message from Amanda. She said, "I'm going to ask Sister McHenry if we can record our own project responses for group members to view on their own time." That might be a little easier to do.
Yeah, whatever you guys want to do is fine.
Yeah.
Because I think also for the accountability project, I believe we're supposed to show our progress or some type of presentation, and we really can't do that with the Google Hangout. I don't think. I think we have to like record it somehow, and so we can physically show how we did.
Yeah, I'm trying to type. My chat isn't going through either.
Oh, I can hear you now. I can hear you now, Amanda.
Okay. So I looked it over, and the instructions are pretty vague. So I'll have to email her to ask for clarification. I'm going to ask her if we can finish up like now, as opposed to waiting until like next Thursday, only because I'm behind
Okay.
in my other class, and I just want to be done with this one so that I can put all my effort into that class. And so I'll ask her to text you guys for response once I figure that out, and then we can figure out if we need to meet next week or not.
Okay, I think it would be perfect if we could do it that way. I mean, we can just record YouTube videos or whatever, and then send the link to each other, so we can, like you said, Amanda, watch it on our own time.
Okay, let's try to do that for next week then. Again, I'll email her. I'll get off this, and I will go look at the and I'll
Okay, sorry, Amanda, it cut out a little bit. I couldn't quite hear your last sentence, but I do believe you said you were going to email Sister McHenry and then just let us know what she says, right? Okay, perfect. And as soon as we finish here, I'm going to go ahead and post this discussion on the discussion board for this week.
Wonderful.
Awesome. Well, it was great
Thank
working
you.
with you guys. Nice to meet both of you.
Thanks, you as well. Merry Christmas to both of you.
Merry Christmas, and you guys have
Look for
finals.
Thanks. Good luck to both of you as well.
All right, bye.
invitation from me so that I'll add you to LinkedIn.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All
Bye.
right, thanks.